On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, major drama at Accuracy International. Zev Trigger Issues? I decided to change my truck gun. And medical marijuana cards and your gun rights. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Marky and Freeze, and this is episode 80 of the John1911 Podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome. And you were just telling me a great idea that you came up to do the intros for all of our podcasts. And I was like, I'm just going to record because we're already laughing. So, you know, I was just clearing my throat. You know, we're checking some stuff, going to hit record. And you said...
No, I don't even know what they're called. They're like those little tuning harmonicas that like choirs use to set the note for everyone before they start, you know, singing. So they're all singing on key. It's like we need one of those like before we start our podcast up, you know, to make sure, you know, everything, you know, the microphones test out and sound good and all that stuff. It was a lot funnier when it was spontaneous.
No, it was good. It was good. So I like it. I think I'm gonna have to dig up one of those harmonicas next time I'm at like a flea market or something. Like, oh yeah, I'll give you 50 cents for that dirty ass harmonica. Boil it in water and we'll use it.
I don't know if water's going to boil the AIDS away.
No, probably not. Speaking of AIDS, I bet, given the choice, the president of Accuracy International wishes he had AIDS instead of running his goddamn mouth this week.
Well, apparently he's got diarrhea of the mouth.
God almighty. You know, and look, before we dive into that a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and make an observation. I'm sure a lot of our listeners know what we're talking about before we even go into it, but I'm going to make an observation just from like 10,000 feet looking down. This is a perfect example of how these gun forums in particular are just giant turd bowls. Yeah. Because almost all the arguments over this, it's all coming out of one gun forum. The facts are the facts, the issues are the issues. It's all really pretty cut and dry, but you know, it's personal relationships and butt buddies and money, and you know, people are trying to protect their interests instead of, you know, maybe doing the right thing.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, this is what happens when you put yourself in the same bed and become a super fanboy of one particular company. When that particular company basically screws the pooch in the community, intentionally or not intentionally, then you find yourself in the position to where you have to give them a reach around and help them out. And, man, it sucks being on the wrong side of an argument.
It do, don't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And look, you know, the person in question can sit there and spin this all they want, but the bottom line is they're in the wrong and they need to just back the fuck up and say, you know what, man, this is wrong. Apologize and move forward.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and give a brief rundown of what we're discussing here. And look, this isn't even this. I mean, normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal for us, for you and me, because I mean, look, because it doesn't really, it's not really, you know, our buddies either way, but we know everybody involved. So, long story short, let me see if I can find the story if I've got it. Let me see here. Where is it? Come on. So basically, there's a well-known firearms company. I look at them as being an English company, but you know, I guess maybe the
owner of the company is a naturalized American citizen. He lives here in the States, but the truth is, it's a European company. I mean, it's a company that came out of England. I don't even know where they're making their crap now, but you know, I look at them as English as well.
Yeah, I did not know until all this started. You know, all the tit for tat had started. I did not know exactly even where. You know, like I assumed they're an English company, and the dude's British, English, whatever, UK, however you want to call him. So anyway, long story short, Accuracy International, they're a pretty well-known international rifle company. They make bolt-action rifles. They primarily make, well, not primarily, I think solely, they make sniper rifles. They sell to various militaries. They sell to a lot of, they're a successful, what I would call a successful boutique firearms manufacturer. They have achieved a high level of success in very small boutique units that have more money than common sense. And I'm not slamming them on it, because I mean I'm guilty of it as well. But so at some point, I guess I don't know if they were having the way this is being spun to get out of this is at some point either he or his company, maybe they were having some kind of like a shareholders meeting or conference call or whatever. But long story short, the subject of, quote, bump fire stocks in America came up. And the article that was written in the British papers basically said bump fire needs to be banned. They're machine guns. This is all crazy horse shit. And, you can just yada, 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 yada. Well, we all know that banning bump fire is basically getting rid of semi-automatic weapons. And this story hit the U.S. gun community. I mean, this is no joke. Within like the ultra nerd gun forum communities, especially like one or two of them, this thing went off like a nuclear bomb. Because Accuracy International, I mean, this is just the truth. They have spent a lot of money over the past 10 years, 15 years, 10, 12 years, 10, 12 years, 10 for sure. Spent a lot, spent a lot of money. They've spent a lot of money in the U.S. market. Every time there's a rifle competition, they're a sponsor. If there's a prize table, they're on the prize table, or they're doing shirts, and they're running a team, and they hooked in, like, I assume their biggest distributor, in the U.S. is a well-known high-end, gun shop in Colorado called Mile High. We've purchased from Mile High. I've bought accoutrements from them before, and rings and stuff. So, well, what's happened is, like people like me, I saw the article. Like, I swear to God, my hand to Jesus, I saw this article because I monitor all the international news outlets because of other shit that I do. And I saw this and I was like, oh, well, that sucks. This is going to go sideways. And I just kind of, forgot about it. Yeah. But this article caused such a shitstorm because what's happened is, American gun owners are rightfully pissed off because they're like, I mean, I guess I should throw this data point in there too. When you buy an Accuracy International rifle, you're lucky to be in it for less than $6,000.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I mean, these are high-end rifles, and I mean, everyone that listens to us regularly knows my opinion on high-end stuff, but let's face it, they're great rifles, and they're high end, and you pay for them, but you do get what you pay for. Yeah. I mean, but if you can play that game and you can afford to play it, and you go to your, precision rifle competitions, I mean, let's face it, if you show up with an AI rifle, you have a leg up on a lot of other competitors, because their stuff performs.
Well, let's overlay this. Let's overlay this on the context of a gun forum. Okay, yes. Most of these people that own these goddamn guns don't shoot them for shit.
No,
they buy them. It's like a woman buying a Gucci bag. They spend all these money on these guns so they can be in the cool guy club, so they can look around at certain people that can say, yeah, you're cool because you got one of these guns and I run one too, and therefore you're blessed. And now everybody's got Accuracy International by the short hairs because they're talking boycotts, they're talking, betrayal. They're talking all kinds of craziness. And what's happening is the owner of this one, we know the dude. I mean, we've actually done business with the forum and with the guy that owns the forum. We've also done business with, we've done business with the big gun store that basically is really propping up all of these people out in Colorado. They're the largest Accuracy International dealer in the country, I believe. And so all these people that they're financially invested in these issues, they don't know how to handle it. And so nobody really they don't want to call their buddies out on the carpet and deal with this. They all want to keep making excuses. They all want to say, well, this was taken out of context, or this was a setup.
Look, here's the thing. Was the article taken out of context? Yeah, I truly believe it was. But
see, we disagree on that, but go ahead.
But what you can't disregard is the fact that the owner of Accuracy International was talking about a boycott on bump stocks. I mean, a lot of the stuff, if you read the whole article, I do believe that they took snippets and pieces out of conversations to make it sound a lot worse than the conversation really was. I believe that. However, the bottom line is when you got a guy who's 30 or 35% of his market is U.S. sales, and these are high-end guns. These aren't $800 guns we're talking about. When 30% of your sales are the U.S. market, you might not want to shit on the Second Amendment. Just saying, it's not a good business move.
It was a terrible business move, and I've heard both sides of the story here. I read the article, and I read the article, and when I say I read the article, I didn't read the article because some guy on Facebook sent it to me and told me what to think about it. I read the article. I read the article before anybody in the U.S. probably read the article, and I was like, holy shit. But what I really don't like, and I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of American fellow gun owners don't like, they don't like the owner of this gun forum trying to tell us what we did and didn't read. You didn't read that.
Oh yeah, and I mean
they're like gaslighting us.
I mean, he is diving into the deep end of the pool here, and I mean he's going as far as to, he's whacking and banning long-term members of his forum. Which, and I was telling someone this yesterday, I understand why he's doing it because, he's got it. Here's his problem. He's got to keep control of his website.
We absolutely agree with that.
And we've been there.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
We've had to whack. We've had to whack long-standing members. But because things got out of control. You have to maintain your control. I understand why he's doing it. But the problem is, man, he's doing it. He's on the wrong end of the argument. The people he's whacking are correct and he's wrong. Well, honestly, and I don't know if he listens to our podcast or not. I could care less if he does. But the truth is, man, he needs to just step back and let it go away. Even if I understand he's so invested in AI, he has to kind of jerk him off a little. But you know what? The best thing he could do is delete the threads and just let it all go the fuck away. And if anyone starts to bring it up again, just delete it and let it go away.
I will use logic on both sides here. And look, here's the thing. I'm kind of repeating stuff that I've told people, and we've had so many private messages. Again, it's kind of interesting because my position on gun forums is pretty well known. I hate them. I mean, they're just shitholes because.
Oh yeah. And we've talked about this time and time again about how.
Yeah. They have their place. They have their place. I need to know about a particular gun part, or I need to know about a particular load. If you need a specific information, you go into these gun forums. They're awesome because you can go in and you can search around, and sure enough, because of just the sheer numbers, you'll find somebody out there who has seen or looked at the same thing you're looking at. And
someone has done the homework for you. You just got to find it.
Yeah, and that's where they're awesome. But the problem is with all these gun forums is it's easier to get on the computer and jerk off. It's real seductive, and pretend that you're, this is
47.
Oh, this is my favorite, dude. This was my favorite. This guy fucking rolled into RPMs, and I remember because I told you, I said, let me handle this one.
Yeah.
And and he was sending us the stuff from the forums, and I'm just like, I'm like, don't post that shit on here. I told him my positions on it, and he's trying to argue with me a little bit, and I explained to him both sides of the argument, and then so he was like, "Okay, I see your point." Then he comes back with, seriously, he comes back with, "Well, okay, man, I get it. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't some guy who was just trying to post clickbait to take advantage of." I think he said our community or my community. And I'm like,
I let you handle that because you asked me to, but that statement itself pissed me off so fucking bad.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've matured a little bit because first of all, I said, "Oh, this is going to make the podcast." And then second of all, I was like, seriously now, because I have an outlet, I don't have to get behind a keyboard and have steam come out of my fucking ears and throw the fucking goddamn computer across the armory. People are looking at me like, fuck. It's like, okay, my community or our community. All right, let me get this straight, dude. Again, I'm not singling him out. Every person listening to this, if you're wrapped up in this whole AI argument, in my community, our community, you better be real careful what you're doing and what you're saying and what you think of yourself versus what you think of other people. Because, all right, for example, the guy who is at the center of this controversy that owns this gun forum, there is no doubt whether you like him or you don't like him, whether you like his content or don't like his content or any of this shit, there is no doubt that dude shoots, and he shoots a lot.
Yep.
There is no doubt that I shoot, and I shoot a lot. But I am fairly certain this cat that sent me this fucking message on Facebook, not knowing who we were, but he just feels he needs to come in and be like, Captain fucking, save the day. He feels that he's protecting his community. And it's like, how many fucking rounds have you sent down the pipe this year, jackass? And again, I'm not trying to be ugly, but it's amazing to me.
Well,
all of these people on these forums they don't even fucking shoot, first of all.
Well, when he first started messaging us, and he came in and he made the comment that we should delete the post because we're spreading misinformation. And in his opinion, mind you, it's what did he say? We were being irresponsible. Mm-hmm. So I responded to him, and this was before you came in and took
I think
over.
he even mentioned the owner of that particular gun form's name, and I saw, and you were like, I don't know who that is.
No. I do know who it is. What happened is he said because, and I won't name his name, because so-and-so talked to the owner and verified it. This, basically he was insinuating because this person says so, the story's bumpkus. And I told him, I said, at first I said, well, okay, that's fine. So when's Accuracy International going to issue a press release? Well, so-and-so already talked to him, so I don't know if they're going to issue a press release. But, since so-and-so talked to him, his word's gold, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, it's irresponsible for you to continue this. You can take it down, and if it proves, for some crazy reason it's true, you can always post it later. And I responded to the guy, and I said, well, look, here's the deal. I said, I want a statement from Accuracy International. I said, because I'm not a precision shooter and I don't drink from the fountain of insert name here.
That's right. That's right.
And I know that pissed him off because I know he's thinking in his head, oh my God, he doesn't think he walks on water? Because no, I don't. Look, the guy's a shooter. He's a great shooter. He shoots a lot. I respect what he does. But I don't give a
He's an okay shooter.
Yeah, I don't give a fiddle's fuck about him or his forum.
He doesn't give a fiddle's fuck about us. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's nothing personal.
No, it's nothing personal. You know, I'd probably sit around and have a couple drinks with him and shoot the shit and talk about guns and have a damn good time doing it. But just because he says something, so what? It's the same thing. If a guy goes to him and says, well, hey, Freeze over at John1911 said this, he's going to say, so the fuck what?
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, I mean, seriously, we would hate that if people did that shit.
Well, yeah.
We don't need, we don't need, look, if you're listening to this and you're a fan of ours and we're embroiled in something, do not feel the need to go out and be, quote, our representative to put the spin on the shit to save us or to try to control the narrative. We are perfectly capable of handling ourselves over here.
Yeah,
okay.
we've been able to do that for quite some time.
Oh yeah. Let me use some basic logic here on a couple of things that I told this guy, this particular we've had probably like 10 messages on this and emails and all kinds of, I'm just talking Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's some basic logic. All right. Okay. First of all, I don't need this kid sending me messages telling me that I didn't read what I read. That I also read it before any of you assholes read it, and I read it before the guy that owns this gun forum read it. Okay, I read it because I read it, and I was like, holy shit, and that was my reaction to it, holy shit. Okay, so but let's use some basic logic here. And so let's quit the egos and quit everyone's got a story and a spin. Let's use facts and let's use logic and see where we end up. Accuracy International is a British firearms company, or UK. I know I never can understand which way to say it because we never make everybody happy over there.
Yeah,
so
whatever.
You're a British firearms company, okay? You've always been a British firearms company. And so you have a British cultural mentality on firearms. Your entire business model, as far as I understand it, because I've ever seen, the only gun you ever make is a turn-bolt rifle. Okay, you don't make semi-automatic rifles. You don't make, squad automatic weapons. There's all these guns you don't make. Okay, all you do is you make a turn-bolt gun that shoots one bullet at a time that has a capacity. You might be able to put 20 rounds in one at most, and that's pushing it. Okay, that's your universe. It does not shock me in the slightest. It is not no suspension of disbelief here to believe that the British guys with the British company that grew up in the British culture, that are a British gun company, that, they're not the biggest fans of the AR, or they're not the biggest fans of the, I'm so shocked. So like, you're going to tell me this guy didn't say this. Oh, bullshit, he said it. Okay. Second thing, the UK is not the US. They don't have the First Amendment over there. They don't have their libel laws and their standards that they have legally to prove, malice or damages or, all the shit that they do over there is much, 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 much lower than it is here. Significantly lower. If what the owner of this gun forum and the owner of this company are trying to say is true, which logically speaking, statistically speaking, it is true, but what they're saying, it didn't happen this way. But they're British, and so it did. It's not that difficult to roll into, Her Majesty's, Common Pleas Court, haul this newspaper in and haul this reporter in, and show damages and start discovery and notes and video and audio and email and text and phone records, and we can figure out pretty quick which side is true here. So, if I was Accuracy International and what they're saying is true, what the owners are saying is true, like, oh, we were fucked, I reasonably expect that there should be a lawsuit here relatively soon. But you know what? There's not going to be.
No, there's not.
There's not going to be because, they fucking said it. So what's the answer here? Okay, here's the other thing. Everything I've said about the UK firearms company, and then this is what I told this guy, and I've told some other people, and this is where I'm sympathetic to the owner of this gun farm in the U.S. that advertises on his gun farm that he gets free goddamn guns from, that the largest dealer of these goddamn guns basically, covers their nut in Colorado all the time. I'm sympathetic, okay? So imagine it like this. I am deep into the Blaser game, okay? And those of you who don't know what Blaser is, Blaser GmbH, which is a German company, okay? They make hunting rifles, they make military rifles. They are an old, sophisticated, overly complicated German engineering, uppity, overpriced gun company, and I have no expectation or no fantasy that I tell myself that the president of Blaser for 1 second thinks the way I think about the Second Amendment or anything I care about. So I'm not gonna jump off the roof if, or like, like all these people, look, I don't care what company it is, Glock, H&K, Accuracy International, Blaser, Steyr, Rheinmetall. You can go on and on and on. Given the opportunity, Mr. and Miss America, given the opportunity for the CEOs, the C-level suites of all of these companies to vote in the 2016 presidential election, they have to vote. Who do they vote for?
Hillary.
They're all voting for Hillary. So,
yeah.
so it's funny that some article shows up in some British newspaper, and all of a sudden everybody's shocked. It's like Casablanca. There's Nazis in Casablanca? It's like, no. It's like, give me a fucking break. So, but the understanding is when you're doing business with these foreign companies is basically goes like this. I put my hand out to give you a big old wad of greasy cash. I expect you to at least not disrespect me to my face. And if I spend money, on your products and you're not an American, I expect you to stay out of American issues. But if you do open your fucking mouth, if this roles were reversed, this is what I tell all these kids. If these roles are reversed, if it was Blaser making these fucking comments, if it was Blaser that was trying to spin these fucking stories, would I be like the owner of this gun forum trying to cover Blaser's ass? No. But the rest of the story is, okay, look, dude, I am so deep into the Blaser game. Am I going to all of a sudden sell all my Blasers? Am I going to boycott Blaser? Am I going to drop Blaser? Dude, that's not going to happen. Everybody's got so much money wrapped up in these fucking guns. This isn't going to happen. But here's the thing. If I have spent money on a gun and these people spit in my face, they've earned a fucking phone call. And that's the problem with the owner of this gun forum. He wants to get in between the U.S. gun owner that's pissed off and the owner of this company and try to say, no, this didn't happen. The thing is, this guy has earned his fucking ass kicking, and his only way out of this is basically to make a hostage video and say, we have, like Barack Obama on gay fucking marriage, I have grown on the subject, or whatever bullshit thing he wants to say. He can come out and make fucking, seriously, it could be like the guy can have a fucking orange jumpsuit on, and the owner of the gun farm can have a knife to his fucking neck like Al Qaeda, and he can record a video and say, I have grown on the subject. I apologize to our customers. This was, we didn't mean to say it like this, and we're sorry we offended you, and we decided to donate X amount of dollars to the gun owners of America and the NRA and this and this and this, and we are happy to be part of this community, yada, 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 and just, just own it.
Never going to happen.
And you know what? That's the problem here.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It is the problem. You're right.
Everybody wants to pretend. Everybody's lying on all. Everybody wants to pretend none of this shit's real. The British gun companies are they're pro-American guns. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Yeah, it's like, I'm
No,
shocked.
you know what they are? You know what they are? They're pro-American dollars.
Mm-hmm. And what do you always say about businesses and money? You.
Oh, me? Hell, I don't know.
Don't make it hard for me to give you money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if you make it hard for me to hand over my money, dude, there's 1,000 other people that are willing to take it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, yeah. You know, look, the whole AI argument is ridiculous, and you're right. You know, if I'm sitting on one or two AI chassis, I'm not selling them. I'm not getting rid of them. I'm using them. I may not be buying any more, but, you know, but saying I'm not buying any more when you're talking about AI guns is, I mean, that's kind of like saying, well, you know what? I've got a Lamborghini. I'm probably not going to buy any more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's real easy to take that stance
Mm-hmm.
because you know in the long run you're probably not going to buy anymore.
Oh,
you know?
and on these gun forums, it's real easy to get on these gun forums when, first of all, you're not shooting anyway, and tell other people that own guns how to spend their fucking money and what they need to do with their money. Oh, that's real fucking easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be real easy for somebody to come in and roll and be like, hey, Marky, you got to boycott Blaser. Oh, really? Have you any fucking idea how much money I have tied up in these fucking guns?
You can't afford to boycott.
I can't. There's not much I can't afford to do. That's one of them, and that is no joke.
No, I mean, God, I mean, you know, the money you've got tied up in it is, you know, I mean, well, we're not going to go in there, but, you know, but yeah, you can't afford to boycott Blaser, you know, and again, using the same example, it'd be real easy for you to say, well, you know what? I'm not going to buy any more Blaser, you know, barrels or, you know, or, you know, anything else. I'm done buying Blaser stuff. Well, that's okay because, man, you got 2 rifles and how many different freaking barrels and different calibers. You could actually never buy another Blaser barrel and be set for the rest of your life.
Oh, it's even better if you're Accuracy International and you've basically got your, here's my favorite word, kit set up. You know, yeah. I know there's so many companies out there that make barrels that'll drop into these AI systems. You could literally buy, I'm sure you could buy 80 or 90% of the parts moving forward for the rest of your shooting career and not actually buy a real AI product.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's like, you know, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know how the only way everybody can actually look, I want to throw a bone to the people out there that are, you know, sitting in their underwear, not actually shooting, and it's, quote, their community. You know, if they really want to try to hurt AI, what they do is everybody takes all of their guns that they've already paid for, and they've already given AI the money, all the money, and they all sell them. And here's what that does. And there'll be tons of people that will buy up all these guns. You know, sell them market rates, sell them what you can get out of them. Maybe you can get more, do whatever. If everybody sold all of their guns, what that would do is that would soften the market for new AI products for the next year or two, and it would probably put them out of business.
Well, yeah, very good possibility.
Because they're banking on 2018 sales, and if you take the money that you gave them in 2016 and all of a sudden undercut their 2018 sales and everybody does that, they're dead.
Yeah, there's no new sales going on at all.
They're dead. And see, that's, you know, that's you can pipe off on the fucking gun forums all you want, but if you want to be real, I just gave you the answer. There you go. That's how you do it.
Yep.
And here's the thing. If you want to do this, you actually have to have people that are willing to buy the fucking guns.
Yep.
You can't fucking shit on people that are buying the guns used. Because, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I mean, none of these assholes make any sense when they're talking to each other.
You know, I mean, but it's typical forum bullshit, though. I mean, okay, today it's let's shit on AI, but tomorrow it's going to be something else, you know, and that's
Springfield Armory's still in the shit house, and I guess Rock River is too.
Well, but that's the quagmire of gun forums. Well, I guess it's all forums, not just, I'm sure the car forums get the same way, you know, but but that's the quagmire you get into with forums. And on that note, let's move on.
Yeah, we've spent half hour on this. So did you, I think you sent this to me, and look, dude, you warned about this. You predicted this years ago. Hawaii has decided.
I love it.
And it's like all these fucking hippies, and they're like, I'm going to get medical marijuana cards and all this stuff, and I'm legal, and all these whatever bullshit reasons.
Yep.
Well, guess what, assholes? Hawaii is now cross-checking their gun registration with their medical marijuana card list. Yep. And if they match, you're on the naughty list, and you have to turn your shit in.
Yep.
Welcome to big government.
I told a guy, this was when Colorado first passed their dope laws. And I told a guy then, because he came on all holier than thou, talking about how it's just a backdoor way of implementing gun control. And I told him, I said, no, it's not. It's not a backdoor way of implementing gun control. I said, what you did was you chose the need to get high over your Second Amendment rights. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. Look, you can go on the internet and search hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of websites about all these people talking about the miracles of medical marijuana. But the truth is, if you took the THC out of all this medical marijuana to where you get all the miraculous miracle healing powers that comes down from Jesus, but you can't get high, you know how many people would have a medical pot card? Nobody. Mm-hmm. It's all about getting high. It's not about the medical miracles that Jesus gave you. Mm-hmm. It's about getting stoned. Now, if you smoke pot, that's fine. I don't fucking care if you get high. Don't give two shits about you and what you do in the privacy of your own home. But with that, right along the same lines, if you go to fill out your 4473 and they go, hey, Mr. Dope Card guy, you got a big fucking denial because you got a medical marijuana card and now you're not allowed to own a gun. Am I going to get all holier than thou about Second Amendment rights? No, I'm going to say you're a dumb shit and you deserve what you get, just like every fucking felon who can't buy a goddamn gun because they were a dumb shit and they get what they deserve.
There's a big picture lesson here that I think a lot of people are learning, all these hippies. And, some of it I blame on the educational system because they're not even teaching these kids anymore anything. But there's a reason why small government kind of works. Because the more tentacles you get wrapped up in all this shit, the worse it gets. And, it's just, it used to be that your medical records were supposed to be private. First of all, if that's a truly medical thing, what about HIPAA laws? Oh, well, Obamacare changed all that. All that shit's electronically accessible now. It's just...
Well, but you know what? Let me interject here on the HIPAA laws. Okay? So it's okay for them to access your medical pot card records and negate HIPAA, but yet if you go, well, all these crazy fuckers that are, committing mass shootings, if any doctor says this guy's crazy, let's put him in a database so he can't buy a gun. Hey, I'm all for that, to be honest with you. I'm totally fine with having a mental nutcase database to where all these people that are mentally deranged can't pass a 4473 check. I have no problem, and I know that pisses off a lot of people. It's the way I feel. But yet, all these freaking same liberal hippies go, oh my God, that's a violation of my rights. Well,
the problem with the issue that in principle, you are correct. The real issue with the whole mental health and like crazy people is we dismantled our mental health, I would call it community control system, whether it's full-time residential community control, inmate control or outpatient control, because, it used to be that you would like, oh, little Johnny is, there's issues with little Johnny, the school teachers are noticing and the parents are noticing and the neighbors are noticing. And it's like little Johnny maybe needs to be diverted here a little bit, but, and so there'd be like the diversion process and maybe even some adjudication of how things are supposed to go. But the problem is we don't even have the U.S. Look, every time there's one of these issues or there's one of these shootings or craziness, and you start talking to the neighbors, oh yeah, that dude. Oh yeah, everybody fucking knew about that dude.
Oh yeah,
that guy.
Look, everyone in high school right now, if you could sit there and say, if someone's going to come in and shoot up the high school, who would it be? And everyone in there's that one kid everyone can point to. Whether he does or not, may or may not happen. But if it does, you can almost guarantee it's going to be that crazy bastard over there. But you know what? Doesn't matter because there's nothing to do with that crazy bastard.
There isn't, because here's the thing. Every time you see a homeless person on a street corner or somebody sleeping under a bridge, that's not a poor person. That's not somebody who was laid off from GM and who lost their job and, is trying to get back up on their feet. That person's mentally ill, and they're not violent, or they're not violent enough to basically end up in jail, in prison. So they're on the streets, and they just cycle them through. They're all everywhere basically it's like becomes like felony flag football. These people run around until they basically commit a violent felony, and they end up in prison because we don't have any place to put any of these people anymore.
Yep.
And then that's where all this shit comes from.
Well, look, and here's the thing: any cop on the street knows 2 or 3 guys that fit that role. When they get a call,
2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm being generous. But when they fit that role and they show up, they know the guy by name, they talk him down, and they might take him to the local hospital for a 72-hour hold, or they may even just take him home to their parents or whoever caretakes for him if they have that, because they don't take him to jail because they haven't really done anything truly violent, but yet they're causing problems because they're freaking crazy, and maybe they're off their meds or whatever the case may be. But every cop there that's out on the street knows exactly what I'm talking about, and they're right now listening to this, shaking their head going, oh yeah, that's Bob or what, whatever, because they know him by name.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the real issue, is we don't have a functioning mental health system in this country. We have extremes. If you're a violent, predatory, red rum, blood and guts coming out of your mouth serial killer, you're in jail.
Yeah.
The rest of them are under bridges, or they all live in that one hotel by the highway. And it sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's, nobody wants to talk about this. All these people that are sitting, and I don't care where you live, if you are walking down a street and there's a person sitting on a cardboard box with a tin cup out, panhandling for money, that person needs to be incarcerated. That person, and whether that's jail or a hospital that person needs to be under community control.
Well, but in all fairness, a lot of the panhandlers that are walking the streets right now are all junkies.
Yeah, and they need to be under community control. And again, we should start locking these people up. I mean, look, locking these people up or it's community control, whether it's an outpatient facility, a nighttime treatment facility, a full-time residential facility. We don't have a tiered system. Like, oh, you're a 3, you go here. Oh, you're a 7, you go here. Oh, you're an 8, you go here. Oh, you're a 10, you go to the electric chair. Basically, all we have is 8s who go to prison and 10s who go to the electric chair. And everybody else, just roll the dice.
Unless you're in California, then you get to walk free.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I went there.
Oh. I heard, dude, is it Steinle? What's her name? Kate Steinle, S-T-E. So anyway, check this out. I mean, I didn't know the, all the details of the case. So I guess the guy admitted it.
Yeah.
He admitted he shot the girl, and then I guess the gun is a stolen, is it maybe federal agent's gun?
Yeah, it's a law enforcement gun. I don't know who.
And then he claimed, what was it? Then he claimed at one point, he said the gun accidentally went off 3 times. And then at one point he said he was shooting at sea lions. And then at one point he said something else. He said it was crazy. And, you know, he's a felon with a stolen gun.
He's like a 7-time felon. I mean, the guy is just, it's insane. I mean, it truly, truly is insane. It's like, really? I mean, how can you be acquitted of this? Only, what was it, San Francisco?
Mm-hmm. It was on the one pier.
Yeah, only in San Francisco can you be acquitted of this. I mean, he was in every other freaking city in the country, he'd have been found guilty. It's unfreaking. It's I don't know, what can you even say about it?
Guy's been deported like 5 times or some shit. I mean, it's look, we're obviously to the point now that it's actually, as a country, look, this is just like the AI argument. We're going to have to hurt California. I mean, it's now time. We're going to have to start putting the squeeze on them. I mean, like, for real. Like, you know, the sanctuary city, no money thing. Maybe start, there's a deputy or there's a sheriff we have a warrant out for this we have a federal warrant out for them to turn this person over to whatever. And that sheriff chose not to do it. Guess what? That sheriff's now been indicted on federal racketeering charges, and now that person's going to get arrested. I mean, it's time. It's time. For real.
Exactly.
And if this is going to degenerate into a real life civil war, I guess we're going to have to do it, because this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, you can't arrest our, we fucking can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, we can. And we can do some, seriously, this sheriff, what some of the law enforcement and politician and some of these low-level, mid-level people in California are doing, dude, we could think of some serious federal charges. Like major fucking time, like 30, 40 years in prison. Like some of the shit that they're doing. And I'm not talking like, well, you know, just because that guy wasn't convicted. No. I'm just talking about, you know, conspiracy to violate federal laws.
And let's go farther than this. You know, when you hook up the sheriff and he's got to make his plea deal to get out of it, he's going to show the minutes of the argument where the mayor told him to let him go. And then, you know what? Then you go hook up the fucking mayor.
And get them all on RICO charges.
Yep.
I mean, this is not that hard.
No. And then the next mayor is going to go, and the next chief of police is going to go, you know what? I'm turning these crooks over because they're criminals. They're illegals.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Yeah. It may not always be the chief of police, or it may not always be the mayor. It could be the shift commander of the third shift commander of the county jail. It's that fucking guy this time. Guess what? You're hooked up too. You know, or there's a patrolman who's like, you're wanted in like 49 of 50 states for, you know, as being an enemy combatant, but white privilege. I'm going to let you go. Yeah. Guess what? That patrolman? We're arresting you too.
Hook him up
too. And it's
hook them all up.
Yeah. So none of this is that hard. And here's the thing: when somebody, when one of these talking heads or these politicians or these, you know, these professional rabble-rousers gets on TV and wants to make this super complicated, all these arguments, it's real simple. Donald Trump will get on Twitter and explain it in 140 characters or less and make it real easy. Bad. Federal law. No more. Make MAGA. Yeah, that's that simple. Yeah. You know, RICO. Yeah, I'm sure Donald Trump can fit RICO characters into a tweet.
Oh, yeah. He can.
I mean, we haven't even, that's what I'm saying. None of this is even, they've not even tried to really address some of this shit.
No, and they haven't.
Just imagine like a gun dealer that was like, I was going to run the 4473 because somebody in Washington said I had to, but white privilege.
Wow.
Why, you can't sell a handgun to a guy across state lines. Why should that gun be illegal? All guns are legal. White privilege. Yeah. Guess what the fuck would happen?
Well, but you know what though? I love the guys that, that get on it's Facebook, it's gun forums, it's all over social media. And they're like, yeah, Second Amendment, 4473 is bullshit, blah. And it's like, dude, just stop. And I don't want to get into that whole Second Amendment argument, but it's like, look,
nobody likes any of that shit, but you know what? If you get fucking, attack it in court, pass a law, have it ruled unconstitutional,
and go from there. Yes.
Yeah. Come on. You just can't, some of these, you might as well just go ahead and say you're a sovereign citizen. Our favorite people. 4473, I'm a sovereign citizen.
My 4473 is the Second Amendment.
You're a sovereign citizen. You don't have the Second Amendment. In your country, it's a 4473. In my country, it's a purple card. Here's a purple card. I'm legal. I got my gun and my purple card.
Oh, dude. You know what? I never get tired of seeing sovereign citizens get tased. Dude, I can watch those videos all day long.
A sovereign citizen at a traffic stop is literally to me like a fucking 3-ring circus. It's like, wow, watch this. Lions and tigers and bears.
But I never get tired of watching it. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it is like, it's the high point of my day. It's like sweet.
Dude, I wanted to tell you this because, we haven't had normal podcasts in a little bit. So, did you see the video of the guy? I can't remember the guy's name. He wasn't like one of the, he was a significant figure in the issue. I think he's a Croat or Serb general. Let me see. He basically from like all the Bosnian shit. So,
oh man, yeah, that's the guy from, was he from like Herzegovina or something like that?
Yeah, from the former Yugoslavia guy, and he, Bosnian. Yeah. Well, he was convicted in The Hague of war crimes. So Bosnian, here we go. Hold on. God damn it. That's the British thing right there. They always play the goddamn videos. The Bosnian Croat war chief who killed himself with poison during his war crimes trial at The Hague was easily able to smuggle a deadly liquid into the building, a prominent lawyer says. So anyway, they're all Slobodan. So this guy is Slobodan, because it was Milosevic or whatever it was, but this is Slobodan Praljak 72. So anyway, the people that may not have seen this, it didn't get that much coverage in the U.S. So he was convicted of, genocide or some war crime or something, at The Hague a few years ago. And he's been up there at The Hague in the Netherlands, in a prison cell, and he's appealed his conviction, or maybe it wasn't a conviction, but maybe he appealed the sentence, like how long he was going to get. So anyway, he's in court, and it's like the European, I call it the monkey courts, where it's like 8 judges. There's like 5 judges in red robes and like 5 judges in black robes. I can never make heads or tails of what the fuck's going on. So he stands up. He's got his little headphones on because no one speaks any of the same languages. Yay, Europe. And, says something like, it refers to himself in the third person and says, I am not a war criminal, holds up this little vial. It looks like he's taken a shot of Jack and literally killed himself, and he drinks it, and then cause he's got this whole big, and I hate to say it like this cause he's obviously thought this out, and he's going to have this major theatrical moment, and it's all this drama, and I'll show you, and I'm not going to rot in jail, and he stands up, and blah, 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 and message, drink, and, I'm not a war criminal. Then he drinks whatever he's going to drink, and everyone's just like standing there like, okay. And then he has to go, there's 5 seconds of quiet, and he realizes, oh, they don't know what the fuck I did. He goes, I just drank poison. And literally.
Yeah, I think his attorney had to tell everyone that he drank poison.
Or something, yeah. And it's just like, oh, but kind of a little anticlimactic. So then at that point, which is interesting, so the judges are running out of the courtroom, and then guys are running in with hazmat suits, because, they don't know what the hell he did. And so I don't think they've even actually, I just drank poison. I am not a war criminal. I oppose this conviction. It was he's from Bosnia, a Bosnian Croat mini state, and they tried to make their own little, hey, kind of like, when Yugoslavia broke up, they tried to be a sovereign citizen. They tried to make their own little country. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
It's so what they. I don't think they've even even actually said what he drank, but he died. But
I didn't know he died. I knew they rushed him to the hospital.
Oh yeah, he did.
Okay.
Whatever. But doesn't it? But they started, because doesn't that remind you? Who was it? Was it Goering that when he was at the where were the Nazi Hamburg? Where were the Nazi trials at Nuremberg?
Nuremberg, yeah.
Did Goering? A few of those Nazi guys killed themselves.
Yeah. Himmler and Goring both killed themselves.
Well, after they were captured, right?
Yes. They took poison.
Did they both? Because I knew one of them had a cyanide caplet in their mouth.
Yeah, that was Goring. Goring didn't kill himself till after he was convicted, I believe. Himmler killed himself before he even went to trial. Okay. He was captured. But
Goering, didn't he like, I seem to I haven't looked at that shit in years, but his trial, he was pretty engaged in it, like laughing and talking, like he wanted everyone to know his story.
Oh, he thought he was going to be a good guy. I mean, look, I'm not going to delve into the history of it, but he was a national hero, World War I fighter ace. He was like, for the Nazi party, he was like the poster child, I mean, he was the face. Everyone liked him. He was a good guy.
The thing is, I think even like the Allies would admit, person to person, like sitting across the table from Hermann Goering, what his name was, they actually, he seemed like a pretty fun dude. Like they liked him. Like he's likable.
He got along so well with his prison guards. When he took his poison, they were actually suspecting that maybe one of the guards slipped it to him. Turns out that wasn't the case, but it would, because he was like on good terms with everyone.
Yeah, that's something that history doesn't necessarily really want to talk about, but people can be likable. Like Ted Bundy, dude. I mean, Ted Bundy wasn't like some dude that lived in his mom's basement and came out when the sun came down and snatched these women off the street. Ted Bundy, dude, he was a player. The chicks liked him. You know what I mean? I mean, he was and very personable and very engaging and, interesting and, and so, but my point is, I guess they're all talking about the Hague and the ICC, the International Criminal Court. I assume it's the ICC. They're all like, wait a minute, didn't we all learn all these lessons when a bunch of these Nazis killed themselves? You aren't patting these people down or checking them?
Here's the question you have to ask. Okay, Goring had a cyanide capsule implanted in a fake tooth. This guy did a shot. This guy did a freaking shot out of a shot glass. Well, it wasn't a shot, but it was like
a vial or something.
It's like seriously. I mean, you guys didn't sit there and tickle his balls or something when you were giving him the pat down.
Oh, dude, I think he's been in custody for 10 years. I mean, I guess they're like, well, yeah, it's pretty easy to slip poison in because whenever they go through the security checkpoints, they're only really checking for metal. And it's like,
I don't know. It looked like a metal cup he had or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's just like, damn. Oh God. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this. And I'm not trying to pile on the Europeans too much, but kind of circling back to AI a little bit, y'all a little strange over there. I mean, you all kind of deserve kind of what you get sometimes, and it's just like, I mean, this shit, I don't know if a person going to traffic court in a regular county court system in the U.S. could have smuggled that liquid into a courtroom?
Man, I don't know. I mean,
you know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, yeah. This guy didn't walk in off the street. He's incarcerated.
Yeah.
I mean, was he have like where does he keep this liquid when he's sleeping? Up his butt? I mean, does he have like a bottle of cologne on a shelf that's labeled like,
it's got 3 skulls on it with XXX below it.
It's like, this is just like one of those things where we as Americans, we look at like these other, I'll call them non-American countries, and there are times that we look at even countries in Europe and we're like, y'all like a banana republic over here. Y'all like, you're all retarded. I mean, it's like, this isn't that hard. I mean, this is like deputy jailer first year 101 type shit here. This isn't International Criminal Court, ICC, The Hague, crazy high-end bullshit. This is like, seriously, this is deputy jailer first year welcome 101, bullshit stuff. I mean, it's just like, okay. So anyway, I just thought that was awesome. Let me give you a couple updates on a couple things, and because we're going over an hour here and we don't want to get too long. So the Gwinn Rifle is being hopefully worked on. That is working a stock on that because we decided to farm that out because of the machining work that's probably going to be involved. And then, we'll get that running and kind of show people what that is. It's not a great gun, but it's an interesting gun.
Look, the Gwinn is actually a pretty crappy gun, but it's interesting as all hell.
Yeah.
I like the Gwinn. I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's crude. It's a little rude. It's not very well built, but with that being said, man, there's not a whole lot of AR style guns on the market that are like it.
No, it's a different breed of cat. And we've had this, and the stock on it, it's got a folding stock. And that's the thing with these Gwinn rifles is I'm not even sure that they actually standardize on actual models. Like if you look at the Gwinn rifles across the universe that are known to be out there, like each one will be a little bit different. Like the charging handles will be on the top or be on the side, and pretty significant differences. And there seems to be very little documentation explaining what was going on with that. So anyway, that's out getting worked on at a machine shop, and we'll get that back. So I posted, I was out on there's something I didn't say about the range, but I was out on the range, on the 1,000-yard range, and I was working with the PTR truck gun and doing some video stuff. And one of the things that's basically happening is, I'm setting up steel targets now. I always have the 308 PTR in the truck. It's the truck gun, it lives in the truck. But what's happening is, I keep 60 rounds, 3 mags. And it's not that many rounds. And when I'm setting up steel or doing things, sometimes it would be more convenient if maybe I just always had maybe if I kept maybe a more modern gun in the truck as a truck gun, and maybe rotate the G3 or the PTR out of the truck for a while. And so we were discussing it yesterday. I'm considering, I'm making some changes. I'm probably going to rotate the Scar as a truck gun, the Scar 16.
I think that's a good choice. I mean, I like the PTR personally. But from a practical standpoint, when you're out on the range setting up, steel at different distances and you want to do some, test firing and,
sometimes you want to test your line of sight. Sometimes you want to see if you could, but the thing is you don't want to be 50 yards, even from a piece of steel that's got 35-degree angle on it with a 308.
Not with a 308.
You can, but here's the thing. You definitely don't want to do that by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you fucking tag yourself and you got to fucking, fucking tourniquet yourself and crawl out of the goddamn farm. So, anyway, but here's the other thing. Like, so like I'm like, I need to wang some of these targets and check some stuff on them. And it's like, I got the 308, I got the PTR in the truck. I got 60 rounds in the PTR ready to go. But there's always 1,000 rounds of 223 or 5.56 in the truck.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's I got all this goddamn ammo in this fucking truck. And it's like, fuck me, dude. I mean, I could blow 100 rounds on this real quick, really hammer these targets, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just from a practical standpoint, it makes sense, And look, if you ever felt the need, you can always, if you were traveling on the road and you ever felt the need, you could always switch back. It's no big deal. So. But with you going down to the range, 3, 4, 5 times a week, it just makes sense to run the SCAR as your primary truck gun.
Yeah. So, I'm making some changes. I'm changing out the light structure, the patrol light. I actually had some people like reach out because they saw some stuff with the SCAR and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "You just have to wait and see." But if you listen to the podcast, you'll get to know. I removed the front sight, the factory front sight off the SCAR. I'm actually going to there's a company called High Desert Dog that they're kind of like a boutique SCAR shop, and they sell all kinds of little goofy parts for SCARs. And they make a little piece of pick rail that fits into the dovetail, I believe, where you push the front sight out of the dovetail on the gas block. You take it apart, you push it out. You can slide in a piece of, it's probably, I don't know, probably not even quite an inch long, but I can slide that forward or slide the pick rail in there. It'll line up with the rest of the pick rail on the upper, and then I can mount a light farther forward so I can reach it with my thumb and not have to use that pressure pad that I've got mounted on the sides. I've never been totally happy with the tape switches on the patrol light, because it's just, there's, the reach around on, I just said reach around, but it's true. Like, right-handed, it's okay. Left-handed, and I set it up to make it left-hand friendly, but then, right-handed, it's still not quite as easy to hit as you would think. And, so I'm going to switch that up. And then since I've gotten rid of the front sight, I'll probably put a rear sight. I mean, I'll have to put a new front. I'll have to put a BUIS behind the light, and I'll probably end up having to replace the rear sight on the factory rear because it won't match the front. They're probably different heights. I have to do some research on it. So, but the SCAR's lightweight. It's a very robust gun. You know what I mean? Like, it can sit for a long, long time. It runs, it's a piston gun with a big heavy carrier, and you can turn the gas up on it, and the gut gun can sit for years, and it'll run dry. It'd be easy to, so it'd be a decent truck gun. So and it's got a folding stock, so it easily will fit in like the tennis bag.
Oh yeah.
Easily. So it's like, I just may make that the truck gun. And, kind of also with kind of just how things are, things are getting a little bit crazier. I mean, some of these leftists and some of the stuff that's going on, like they're just attacking people for craziness. It's like, maybe it would be not necessarily a bad idea to have a real gun. Here's the thing. I mean, look, I don't really carry a truck gun wanting to get into a fight with anybody. I want to leave. But the truth is, if I was choosing to get into a gunfight, if I had to make a choice and be like, which gun would you rather have, the PTR or the SCAR?
Oh, the SCAR, hands down.
I'll take the SCAR because I can do a little bit more with it more easily. I can do everything with the PTR I can do with the SCAR, but with the SCAR I can carry more ammo and I can do some shit a lot faster with it. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, and that's not disparaging the SCAR in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, you mean the PTR?
I'm sorry, the PTR. The PTR is a fine gun, but from a practical standpoint, the SCAR makes a lot more sense, especially right now.
Yeah. And so also you haven't seen it yet. I'm not done with it, but I went ahead and got one of those. What the hell's the company's name? BCM, Bravo Company I don't know what the M stands for. Bravo Company.
Bravo Company, I think manufacturing.
Okay.
I think is what it stands for.
So I bought one of their uppers, so a complete upper. So it's got the bolt carrier and the charging handle, and it's got a 14-inch key mod, some kind of key mod forend that they make. That, look, I know there's people out there that are like, oh, but M-Lock.
Yeah,
but it's
whatever.
But it's like, dude, the key mod is lighter, it's smaller, at least in this example. It's small, physically smaller, it's lighter, and I'm not putting lasers or anything seriously for sighting into the key mod than like wanging on it. I mean, the only thing I'm hanging on the front of this gun is going to be a light. So,
none of that matters.
None of that matters. And I'd rather save the weight and have it be, a little bit smaller for my hands. So, and dude, I tell you what, it is
like, 16-inch barrel.
It's a 14. It's a 14 with a pinned device on it, so that saves weight too.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but and we can change out the muzzle device if we if we like, oh, I want to switch to whatever because we want to put a whatever. It's like we can. It's not that big of a deal. But we had that LMT lower that basically I've been sitting on since I literally bought that the summer before Barack Obama won the election in 2008. I bought it in Vegas, and I was out there for work.
Yeah, I remember when you bought it.
Yeah. So, and it's never. I mean, it's only ever been on a. I put it on a Faxon upper once to try it, and basically it's lived on that crossbow. So the TAC 15 crossbow. So it's like, well, I already have the freaking lower. It's like I don't need to buy another lower, and it's like I might as well. I've basically put together a modern, super lightweight AR. I call them boutique ARs because I have stayed out of this AR world for a long time. Because I don't, this year's this, and then this, and then this, and then, and that entire market just, to me, is just, I just want to vomit. It's just, there's just too much. It's gun forum fodder. Like, well, this and this part and this part. Basically, it's like, give me a goddamn rifle. I'm going to show you how to fucking shoot it, and I'm going to run it hard. I don't care what it is. Just give it to me. Yeah. Making all this, I don't get wrapped around the axle on it. So basically, it's technically a put together. It's a BCM upper with an LMT lower. Yeah.
And I mean, the LMT lowers are fine lowers, BCM uppers are fine uppers. Mm-hmm. The thing should run fantastic.
Yeah, Officer Mike was basically like, use that LMT lower if you got it. He was like, I didn't know you guys had that. I'm like, I fucking just found it again. I keep forgetting I have it. So.
Well, because it sits on a freaking crossbow that sits in the freaking corner that never ever gets used. I mean,
I know.
It's kind of like it just kind of gets kicked aside, and it's, I mean, shit, it's a perfectly good lower.
So Officer Mike was asking, he's like, oh yeah, because it's real similar to Officer Mike's gun that we posted pictures on John1911. It's basically it's his. That's that gun. Except, he's got, I don't know, like a different stock. And
now here's the question.
Okay.
Are you going to put flip up sights on it? Because, if that fucking aim point shits the bed without flip up sights that are, that coexist with your aim point. Co-witnessed with your aim point, you're fucked.
I know. Look, here's my opinion on that. I don't know. I do know Officer Mike was like, now you got to put a Geisy trigger in it, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, shut up, Mike.
I know. And I was like, I said, Mike, I do a pretty good trigger job myself over here. He's like, really? What's that? I'm like, shoot it 3,000 times.
Oh, I bet he crapped himself.
And the thing is, it's like, how much does a Geisy trigger is 300, 400, almost $400. That's 2,000 rounds.
Look, see, that's going down the rabbit hole. It really is because, the truth is the trigger on that LMT lower is perfectly fine. You know, you get, again, this is the forum guy argument, you know, they're like, well, you know, I prefer my trigger to be this. I prefer it to be a little smoother, but you know, it's like, you know what, get out there and learn your trigger, shoot 3,000 rounds through the gun. And then after you shoot 3,000 rounds through the gun and then, you know, you go, you know what, this trigger is just, man, I think I can get a little bit more speed. I think it could be a little bit more crisp. You've earned the right to spend the money on a new trigger. But I tell you what, if you put 1,000 rounds through your AR every 3 to 5 years, you haven't earned the right to spend the money to put a new trigger on that gun because you don't need it.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, look, I'm not going to say that I don't. Look, the VP9's got a really nice trigger on it. Actually, it's something else I want to tell you too. The VP9's got a nice trigger. The Blazers, Jesus, the Blazers have incredible trigger. I'd guarantee you a Blazer trigger is better than 90% of the dog shit that's for sale in the U.S. as a trigger upgrade on all these sniper rifles. Guarantee it. But with that being said, truth be told, I mean, a lot of these, like, regular, like a Glock, for example, I shoot a Glock, I shoot a Glock, standard factory Glock 5-pound trigger, just fine. Actually, more than just fine. I mean, look, I'm not the world's fastest shot, but I certainly am not slow. And I run those things just fine. I'm able to roll through because I've shot factory military triggers so much. In many ways, some of these uber light triggers distract me. Mm-hmm. They're kind of almost a little bit, for me, it's like, okay, I guess. I mean, maybe I just don't have the ability. I'm not Jerry Miculek. I can't outrun. I haven't really been able to outrun too many guns when I'm shooting them fast. Mm-hmm. And, and it's just, I mean, and I don't shoot slow. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, that's the last thing I want to do is change the trigger on this gun.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you hit the key on the head. I mean, not a lot of guys can outrun the gun. Yeah. Everyone thinks they can.
Yeah.
But the truth is they can't.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, if you can roll through a heavy trigger and you can break it exactly when you want to break it. And the thing is, what also kind of happens, and nobody really wants to talk about this, when all you do is shoot these crazy light triggers, it almost becomes a crutch. Because what ends up happening is a regular, what I call mil-spec trigger, or like, we'll call it a factory trigger, because mil-spec, whatever.
Yeah.
A regular factory trigger becomes so debilitating to you that you can almost not function. But the truth is, people that can shoot mil-spec triggers can roll into a light trigger, no problem. I find people usually, if they're way too deep into the super light trigger pool, they have a hard time getting out of the pool. You know what I'm saying?
I never really looked. I know what you're saying. I never really looked at it like that, but you're right. Mm-hmm. I know a guy that, he's an older guy. He shoots a lot of competition, and he uses all these Vancomp triggers. But
Vancomp? Oh no! Oh, actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
Actually, it's not Vancomp. It's the Zev triggers. And I was talking to him, and we might have even mentioned this. I'm sure I mentioned it to you. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. We did,
but then something came up, so go ahead.
But he keeps shearing off one of the pins, and of course he runs like a freaking 1 ounce trigger, and I'm exaggerating, but his trigger's so freaking light, if you blow on it, the gun goes off. And he was asking me one day, he's just like, what's your opinion on this? I keep shearing these pins. And I told him, I said, I've got 2 options for you. I said, first option is find a machinist that can duplicate that trigger out of titanium, and maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. I don't know. That's a thought. I said, the second option is, go get your original Glock trigger and drop it in your Glock. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me like I was like growing a horn out of my head. And I'm like, look, when Glock manufactures these guns, everything is engineered to work properly. When you start fucking with your gun, you start taking things out of spec and things start breaking. I said the gun wasn't designed to have that trigger in it. I said, I know you paid a lot of money for it, but how many pins have you put in that gun so far? And he's like, 3. I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There you go.
Uh-huh. It's like, what the hell?
But let me tell you this. The last time I saw him, he was carrying his 1911. He wasn't carrying his Glock.
You know, at 1911 had some crazy ass light trigger in it too. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. But, you know, it's like, we're John1911.com for Christ's fucking sakes. But it's I mean, it's a crutch, right? You realize the dude.
Look, the dude shoots competition and he shoots fast and he shoots hard and he's pretty good at it. But the truth is, if we pull a standard Glock out of the armory, yeah, he'd be able to run it, but he wouldn't be able to run it as well as his guns with his high dollar triggers and shit in it.
I'm gonna throw this out there that I'm gonna connect the Zev trigger pin story guy that we know with something that come up a few weeks ago. They say, and I don't know who they is, but you know, I've done it and I've noticed it does work for me. If you want to be a faster, better shooter with a handgun on trigger manipulation, like your Glock or your insert whatever gun. I mean, I don't care. M&P, whatever. VP9, PPQ, or whether it's like a SD40 or SD9. I don't care what it is. Get out your K-frame Smith & Wesson double action revolver and shoot that and dry fire that and double action a whole bunch. And then what ends up happening is you go back to your pistol and it feels like you're cheating. And there's something to be said for that. And it makes a difference. And see, a lot of guys, instead of maybe the best trigger job you could ever buy for your Glock is a used K-frame Smith & Wesson revolver. You know,
well, you know what? In a lot of cases, the used K-frame Smith & Wesson revolver is cheaper.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, and it's just like, you know, again, nobody ever wants to talk about that because that's not cool. But there's something to be. I make it a point whenever I shoot a revolver. If it's obviously double action, mostly double action revolvers, I shoot them. I don't cock them at all. I shoot them. I started doing that, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. And I went from basically, like look, I'm like most people. I used to cock. I'm not a revolver guy. I used to cock. If I could cock a revolver, I'd cock it. Cause I was an automatic guy. It's like, whatever. But what ended up happening was I started practicing. I was like, I need to be able to pick up a goddamn revolver and work that trigger and press all the way through. And when I extend my arm out or I'm ready for it to break or the shot to break, even to break it early, I need to be able to either know where I'm at in the trigger pull and break it early or have it break at the end of my press if that's what I want to try to do. And I'm telling you what, it made a huge difference in my pistol shooting abilities for Glocks and all that other shit. It made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So
it will. I mean, and it will.
And so,
and it's going to improve the trigger on your revolver.
Yeah, it makes your trigger finger stronger too. Mm-hmm. You know, if just saying, you know, I mean, you know, ever see Jerry Mikulik fire a revolver and then he fires a semi-automatic? You know, there's probably some connection there. And, you know, obviously some of it's DNA, but some of it is just because, you know, he's working both sides of the spectrum. So if you're trying to get farther down the road, maybe you should try to approach it from the other way.
But look, in all fairness, Jerry Mikulik is a freak of nature because that guy's ability is like, he's like the one guy in a generation that does that. He's so amazing. Yeah. I mean, he's got like his speed ability is just, it's unnatural.
Yeah. He's going to be like Elvis. He's never going to die. He's just going to go home to his home planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? He's just gonna, Jerry Mikulik took off his human mask and hopped on a spaceship back to planet Xenon or some shit.
His meat suit.
Do you remember, I saw this on Instagram and I sent this to you and it was a Zev Trigger. Do you remember? I don't know if you know who the kid is. He seems like a perfectly nice guy, actually. I can never say the dude's name. He's in Indiana, so he's close, I think. But he is his real life job. I don't even think he's 30. To us, he's a kid. He's married, whatever. But his real life job, he's a preacher. Skinny kid. He's a preacher, but then he shoots guns and he makes all these videos and he started running classes and he's just a talented shooter.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Did you remember the video that we were looking at a couple weeks ago where some kid showed up in his class carrying AIWB appendix with a Glock with a Zev trigger in it, and they just happened to be doing dry fire practice at the beginning of the class. He was basically, I think, evaluating people, pull out of the holster, take your shot, probably, reholster and evaluating people's draw and presentation and reholster skills, kind of where they're at. And this particular student, every time he put his gun into his holster, you would hear click and his fucking trigger would drop.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
That was a Zev trigger.
Yeah. Well, again,
I think what had happened is there's the Zev. I don't know the Zevs exactly, but there's a pin. It's probably the same pin your buddy's breaking, but I guess there's a pin somewhere in the trigger shoe.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that, and what had happened was under use, it had drifted out one way or the other, probably inboard. And so when he would go to reholster it, that pin would drag on the inside of that holster, and it would depress that trigger. And I'll tell you what, it is a fucking miracle that kid did not shoot himself in that preacher's class. Yeah, and you know what? That would have been on the preacher because it's his class and probably his insurance and Lord knows what range they were at. That would have been a fucking mess.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And that's a good reason why you have dry fire exercises before you start the class up.
Well, it's a big picture concept I think a lot of people don't understand. Look, you can do all kinds of shit. This is a perfect example. My SCAR rifle, I had a kid come in to our social media. My SCAR rifle has a patrol light on the top of it. The big flashlight at 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And if you look, you'll notice there's 2 zip ties around it, and they go through and underneath and up around the light, and they through the body of the upper on the SCAR. And this kid rolled in, and he's all holier than thou, and he's trying to shit on me, saying that, I think he didn't understand that on the other side of the gun where the tape switch was, there was a pick rail there. He thought that I just had it zip tied to the side of the gun.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And he was being all shitty about it. And it's just and I was trying to explain to him what it was, but it's he just doesn't understand. It's you realize, dude, all these things you make finger tight or you screw this stuff in, you put a couple hundred rounds through a gun, shit starts walking. That's why they do things like staking, and they stake these. You stake stuff or you thread lock it. Vibration shit. You can put shit on your gun and then shoot it 500 rounds and see where it is because it could walk.
But see, that's the difference between a guy who shoots their gun and a guy who doesn't shoot their gun. See, if he goes to the range and shoots, 100. On an AR, you shoot 3 or 4 mags, you bust a couple hundred rounds of it, you're not running it hard, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's the difference between a guy who goes to the range and shoots, 500 to 1,000 rounds in one setting and he's running it hard. A lot of these guys just don't understand because they've never run their gun that hard.
Yeah. But hey, I don't want to be doing clickbait to take advantage of, quote, their community.
Well, God forbid, because, who wants to disparage their community? But you know what? I'm going to totally get off the subject because I saw a headline. I don't know where it's from. I don't know what country it's from. I don't know the backstory on it. It's just like a National Enquirer type.
Good. So it could be like
headline.
it could be like our exit story. Okay, what is it?
Yeah. It's got a picture of the background. It's like boats with police boats around it. And there's a picture of this lady that looks all cracked out. And the headline is, "Drunk woman steals a ferry and yells, 'I'm Jack Sparrow.'" And that's just funny shit.
That's funny shit. That's funny. That's funny. That's better than like my guy that was robbing the hot dog vendor and shot himself in the penis. True story. Okay.
Nice.
All right. This wraps up episode 80 of the John1911 Podcast. If you want to see more of what we're discussing on the internet, go to our blog page, john1911.com. It's john1911.com. Special thanks to our sound engineer, Mitch, at A&M Promotions. Everybody, thank you for your time. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.